Turkish Airlines presents Business Africa.
Hello and welcome to Business Africa. I'm India Yuka, and this week we have a special edition to take you to the heart of one of the largest gatherings of African entrepreneurs in Europe, an unmissable event for everyone looking to invest in Africa. Over the course of 2 days, there were several conferences, and we focused on some of them to explore their key issues.
Pour vous en apporter tous les enjeux.
The Business Africa Fair returns in 2025 with its fourth edition at the heart of African entrepreneurship. The goal is to discuss innovations, investments, and future strategies. All of these to understand tomorrow's Africa and its diaspora.
Entrepreneurs, investors, and diaspora members. All these key actors of African economic development came together in Paris at the Business Africa Fair. One question was at the heart of the discussions. How can Africa use financial intelligence to accelerate its development? Although digitalization and education are crucial, Stanislas Sisi reminds us that Africa's economic development cannot only rely on multinational corporations.
Avec le digital,
With digitalization, we have made up for the deficit in financial intelligence. Today, everyone can make a transaction, no matter where in the country you are. This inclusion is effective, and I think that digitalization will allow us to close some of the existing gaps in Africa in this regard.
Sur le reste du monde que l'Afrique a.
This transformation, however, needs to come with a true grasp of financial tools in order to maximize its effects, says Joel Kabuya, Vice CEO of Ecobank in DRC.
Financial intelligence comprises all the knowledge and skills we are supposed to have to create value. Unfortunately, this is missing from our education system. Many entrepreneurs have ideas and potential, but they lack this kind of education to be able to create value.
Digitalization, financial education, and stronger small and medium-sized businesses are key tools for leveraging inclusivity and prosperity in Africa. If put in place, these ideas could redefine the economic future of the continent.
If your country develops through foreign companies, you will struggle to create economic inclusion. The biggest part of wealth should be created by local companies so that some of it trickles down to the population. We need to deconstruct this narrative that only multinational corporations advance development. No, it is the SMEs.
Ce sont les PME.
If put in place, these ideas could redefine the economic future of the continent.
Merci pour la valeur que vous nous avez donnée. Merci pour votre générosité. Passez une excellente journée. On se retrouve pour un prochain panel.
Notre invité de la semaine est aussi...
Our guest this week is none other than Mr. Regis Mutumbu Katalayi, the founder of Business Africa. Mr. Katalayi, can you tell us about the vision behind Business Africa?
The vision is to create opportunities for African entrepreneurs and professionals. We are part of the diaspora, and the African diaspora in France is the largest in Europe. A large African diaspora also means significant number of African entrepreneurs and professionals. Now that we have so many African entrepreneurs and professionals, they also need to be valued, highlighted, and given visibility. That is precisely what we aim to achieve with Business Africa, which has now become the largest gathering of African entrepreneurs and professionals in Europe.
The fair is now in its fourth edition, and I would like to know how Business Africa supports African entrepreneurs and those from the diaspora in creating and growing their businesses.
Today we have a much more dynamic African youth that adapts to globalization, embraces new technologies, and aspires to create business rather than just seeking employment, as was the case 30 years ago. This applies to the diaspora as well as locally. What we do is shine a spotlight on them. We provide them with a large-scale communication platform to help them promote their services and products. That is what Business Africa does for the diaspora, but it is also what we did in Senegal during our 2023 edition in Dakar.
You're an entrepreneur yourself. What role does the diaspora play in Africa's development?
The diaspora is an ambassador. It has a communication strength that may even surpass that of the local population. However, it is essential for the diaspora to set an example. Sending money is good, but creating opportunities is even better. Opportunities emerge when local entrepreneurship thrives alongside entrepreneurial initiative from the diaspora. This creates an economic bridge and fosters opportunities between locals and the diaspora. It's great to have a well-educated diaspora, but what do we do with skilled diaspora? They should not just look for jobs. They need to create value, build an entrepreneurial ecosystem. The diaspora must lead by example for the locals. That said, we must acknowledge that the locals, entrepreneurs, have not been waiting for the diaspora to take action.
What collaborations or strategic partnerships have emerged from previous editions of Business Africa Forum?
One of the strongest and most successful sectors right now is real estate. The diaspora, with its purchasing power, is actively investing in African real estate. When you buy property, it has to be built, and that involves working with local professionals. This creates jobs, generates value, and ensures that diaspora capital is used to fund employment and real estate projects. There is a growing trend among the diaspora to return to the continent, not just in words, but through tangible actions. I believe the diaspora sometimes underestimates or forgets its potential as an investor.
Thank you very much.
The pleasure is mine.
In recent years, talent from the diaspora have been choosing to return to Africa to invest. But between hopes for success and reality, the return to the continent raises many debates.
The return of African diaspora talent was a key theme at this year's Business Africa Forum. In 2020, 40% of African diaspora in France were ready to return to the continent immediately, and 71% envisioned a return within 10 years. By 2024, this trend has accelerated, driven by Africa's 4% economic growth and opportunities in digital technology, agriculture, and education. Yet, returning to the continent remains a complex journey.
It's a continent full of opportunities, but we shouldn't think that everything will be easy. It's the only continent experiencing explosive growth right now, but we still face challenges that can be structural and even formative. We also have a leadership problem, having the right people in the right places.
So how can these challenges be turned into opportunities? One of the key takeaways from the panel discussion was the complementarity between diaspora entrepreneurs and local players. Rather than an opposition, this collaboration could be a powerful driver for building sustainable and competitive businesses.
What sets us apart is our complementarity, and that's our strength. So we shouldn't pit one against the other. We need to tell those with expertise from here that when they go back, they need locals who have on-the-ground expertise. It's about blending, you know how. The experience you've gained in France, for example, with local expertise and the realities on the ground there.
African talent is a growing phenomenon. Simply going back is not enough. Succeeding on the continent requires a blend of ambition, adaptation, and collaboration.
Between opportunities and obstacles, women's entrepreneurship is evolving rapidly. The Business Africa Fair has aimed to highlight the successes of these women, the challenges they overcome, and the solutions to go even further.
Women's entrepreneurship is progressing, but disparities persist. According to a study by the Boston Consulting Group, female entrepreneurs in France receive 30% less funding than men, and this figure rises to 50% for Afro-descendant women. In Africa, the situation is even more complex. According to the World Bank, only 20% of businesses are led by women, and they have access to just 1% of the total available funding. This is a reality well known to Gwenola Monteiro, founder of Wina Holding.
I already knew that fundraising for women is very complicated because we are always pushed back into our traditional roles. Women in the kitchen, women taking care of children. So it's difficult to grant funds to someone who might be pregnant tomorrow. What we really lack today are dedicated investment and fundraising groups for women in our community.
Between discrimination, lack of networks and cultural barriers, Afro-descendant women face more obstacles than others. Faced with funding challenges, some turn to self-financing or building strong professional networks. This was the choice of Penola Lawson, founder of the fragrance brand Lawson Paris.
It is true that there are always unexpected obstacles. It's a bit like an adventure in the dark. So, before launching my brand in the fragrance industry, I first worked as a content creator, and I made sure to secure the necessary funds before stepping into entrepreneurship.
Business Africa confronts African women, Les Inspirantes, highlighted inspiring journeys. These women, both from Africa and the diaspora, are redefining the rules and embodying a leadership that is essential for the future of the continent.
And that concludes this special edition of Business Africa. If you'd like to watch this episode again, visit Africanews.com and all our digital platforms. See you soon.
Business Africa was presented by Turkish Airlines.